Tucker Carlson, not sure if you guys saw this, but he was at a Turning Points USA PAC event in Georgia yesterday. Turning Point USA is Charlie Kirk's organization. They were responsible for getting out the vote in the Kari Lake governor's race a few years back, and that went extremely poorly. So it makes me smile that Donald Trump has reportedly outsourced some of his campaign work to both Elon Musk's bizarre PAC that seems to be a bit of a scam, to put it mildly, and to Charlie Kirk's operation. But they still do these big speaking gigs, and Tucker Carlson showed up at this Georgia thing. And here's Tucker Carlson talking about Trump becoming president again and what it's going to feel like for America.
If you allow your 2-year-old to smear the contents of his diapers on the wall of your living room,
whoa,
and you do nothing about it, if you allow your 14-year-old to light a joint at the breakfast table,
hell yeah.
If you allow your hormone-addled 15-year-old daughter to like slam the door of her bedroom and give you the finger, you're going to get more of it. And those are end up in rehab. It's not good for you, and it's not good for them. No. There has to be a point at which dad comes home.
Oh my God, they're all standing.
Yeah, that's right. Dad comes home. And he's pissed. Dad is pissed. He's not vengeful. He loves his children. Disobedient as they may be, he loves them. Because they're his children, they live in his house. But he's very disappointed in their behavior. And he's gonna have to let them know.
Okay, it's getting
He's gonna have to get to your room right now and think about what you did. And when dad gets home, you know what he says? You've been a bad girl. You've been a bad little girl, and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now.
What in the world?
It's not gonna hurt me more than it hurts you. No, it's not. I'm not gonna lie. This is gonna hurt you a lot more than it hurts me.
Come on.
All right, hold on, pause.
And you earned this.
That's what it means to be a mighty man of valor.
Hell yeah. Spanking your daughter.
At first, I just thought it was, just me having a dirty mind. But clearly, he knows what he's doing. Like, towards the end. He has to. He has to. It's gross.
Well, he's doing religious, coded language. I mean, the entire base of Trump support, you could just basically copy paste 90% of what they say about Trump, and a lot of it could apply to Jesus Christ. It's a very religious frame of mind in the way that they talk about him. And this is not just religious, it's also fascist, which, talking about a leader as the father of the nation, you don't need to go too far back into history to find some pretty genocidal and fascistic examples for that, where that applies. And Tucker is knowingly invoking that, but he thinks his little brand is a little cuter because he has some, history books in leather-bound books in his library that tell him that this is a good way to run politics. But that's how he's trying to invoke this here.
Can I just give some detail? Carlson attended La Jolla Country Day School and grew up in a home overlooking the La Jolla. Sorry, I don't know.
Well,
La Jolla.
It's a very fancy part of California.
La Jolla Beach and Tennis Club. His father owned property in Nevada and Vermont and islands in Maine and islands in Maine and Nova Scotia in 1984. His father, and just another thing about his father. Carlson was briefly enrolled in Collège de Le Mans. I don't know if you want to
I do not.
A boarding school in the canton of Geneva in French-speaking Switzerland, but said he was kicked out. So yeah, I mean, interesting childhood that's probably very relatable to a lot of people.
I mean, I guess in terms of having a father that owns a lot of properties, but probably didn't give him a ton of love and attention.
Sometimes daddy takes you to the island that he owns.
or ships you to boarding school because he's been a bad boy. But really, when he says you've been a bad girl, you've been a bad little girl and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now, dude. I mean, he's trying to turn the audience on. And unfortunately, I think it kind of works for half the men in that room.
He just wants to make America goon again. That's the new that's the new manga.
I don't get that one. I gotta be honest with you.
Yeah, that's all right.
All right. Don't
that's
explain it to me.
Yeah, no, we don't need to.
I'm too pure.
Yeah,
but I guess maybe I've been a bad little girl. All right, keep going.
It's great.
And no, it's not going to hurt me more than it hurts you. No, it's not. I'm not going to lie. This is going to hurt you a lot more than it hurts me. And you earned this. You're getting a vigorous spanking because you've been a bad girl.
Oh my God.
That's a real
It
thing.
has to be this way. It has to be this way because it's true. And you're only going to get better when you take responsibility for what you did. That's not said in the spirit of hate. It's not said in the spirit of vengeance or bigotry. Far from it. It's said in the spirit of justice, which is the purest and best thing there is.
There's like so much I
And
would love to
without
know
it,
about being a
things
21-year-old girl.
fall apart.
Okay. All right. Apropos of nothing, this was Tucker Carlson last week on his show, the Tucker Carlson show on X. Again, apropos of nothing.
Brett Baer had said to her the other night, Madam Vice President, you talk about abortion law, have you ever had one? I mean, I think he would have been fired from his job for saying that. And he certainly would become instantly a villain. And you sort of wonder, like, why? Right. If there's nothing wrong with abortion, if you're supposed to shout your abortion, or like Tim Walz is very obviously gay. I look at him and I'm like, well, you're gay. And I'm sure I'll be attacked for saying that. Maybe he's not gay, but he certainly seems gay.
Right. And you immediately say, where's your evidence?
Oh, I don't have any evidence. I'm just saying the guy looks super, super gay to me. But they're the ones always running on being like, it's great to be gay. Okay, if it's great to be gay, then why is it an attack on him for me to say that? And why would it be out of bounds to be like, hey, Tim Walz, you seem super gay. Are you gay? Have you ever slept with dudes? Like, if you asked that question, you'd be fired from your job.
You're just asking that now. It's very controversial, right?
But why would that be controversial? If there's nothing wrong with it, then why is it so offensive to ask that question?
Right.
I don't like. This doesn't make any sense.
I think ultimately,
because
Democrats,
he's not gay, you moron. It's not offensive. The idea of him being gay is not offensive. It's offensive that you're making these claims about him based on, I don't know, nothing. I mean, he's married with kids, but I mean, this is they're trying to redefine this whole race has been super gendered, and it's about defining masculinity in this incredibly toxic, patriarchal, religious way versus one that is about being inclusive of everybody, a positive masculinity that Tim Walz represents. But like, I don't know, dude, maybe don't call other people gay and then go on stage and talk about how you want daddy to spank all of us. I mean, he saved it a little by making it a little girl. It's just, I don't know, I would say that's a little pedophilic, but that's just me.
It's very gay as a man to have kids who love you.
Yeah.
It's perhaps the most feminine characteristic an adult male can have. Their own kids loving them.
Right.
The way Walz said dipshit was probably like the most masculine thing I've seen from a politician in years. What we're not going to have is trust fund bow ties like Tucker Carlson come here and talk about what masculinity is.
Yeah.
Buddy, like we all see this. You're not fooling anybody. And he's a football coach. And I don't get the gay thing with Walz. That's very bizarre to me. But
I mean, earlier in the campaign, he was giving out tips as a part of his like dad tip thing about how to fix your car and what would be a cheaper way to, I don't know anything about cars, but I think carburetor is one of those things.
This is swift boating.
Yes, but in a contest of masculinity, I would like to see this guy. We have this photo of who I'm referring to here, right? I would like Tim Walz and this person, Mr. Bowtie over here, to work on fixing a car. And just have a little bit of a competition in the masculinity, arena, and we'll see how that pans out.
Well,
for Mr. Masculine over there.
Fascists have so many psychosexual obsessions.
Yeah.
So many insecurities related to impotence. Related to people of color and impotence, related to women and impotence. It's not surprising that like this, considering how I hate to use the word normal in a way that isn't nuanced, but like Tim Walz is just like a normal Midwestern guy. Like he probably watches football on Sundays. He, fixes cars, things that I don't do, right? But he teaches football, and they're struggling with that because There's a lot of Republicans like to pretend that they're the mouthpieces for these like mythical working class white males who are beer drinkers and like football lovers. And
punch
they're
Emma.
not. They're all like effete, like, you know, they may not be coastal, but they're all like effete liberals who happen to be more racist is essentially like their backgrounds. They're all Harvard educated, you know, and they're proud of it. And maybe you should be proud of it. I don't know. I don't care. But they are. And it's hard. Yeah, it's hard for them to try to, like, besides their affected love of weapons, like guns, it's hard for them to pretend that their masculinity is rooted in anything other than, like, misogyny, which is where it is.
Exactly. Right. And that's
La Jolla Day School. Like, what? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you say Harvard educated. Tucker Carlson was such a horrible student that his dad had to essentially pay his way into Trinity, which is pretty low-end liberal arts college and known to be the most conservative of all of them, honestly. But yeah, I mean, like they want, as you're saying, Brandon, to define masculinity in a way that is religious in nature, that is patriarchal in nature, that is extremely heteronormative in a repressive manner, and that is essentially about domineering women. And Tim Walz, and why he was the best pick of the bunch really for Harris, and he's not been deployed in a way that I wish that he could have been over the past few months, although they're starting to get him out there again. He represents a more positive vision of masculinity. And I think that there's it's not reflecting, unfortunately, in the poll numbers. Like the stratification between the candidates along gender lines is basically 20 points in these swing states. It's huge. And so it's not necessarily reflecting, I think, right now in the way that men in these states that Harris needs to win are responding to her. I still think it hopefully is enough. But, you know, the Democrats do need to get serious about this. And I think if they were going to lean into a family leave policy or child care, if they end up going down that route, which she's hinted at a little bit if she gets elected, incorporating a positive masculinity vision for the rest of the country, which includes basically dignity for men as breadwinners in many households, right? And saying like, hey, these plans can help you raise a family, right? As opposed to having to go to these incel influencers who give them that kind of vision of masculinity. Like, we offer more opportunity. We offer a way for you to feed your family and to live up to these ideals that you were told that you needed to live up to your whole life as a man, without putting other people down. That should be something that the Democrats focus on. And honestly, like, hopefully we cut into that space a little bit on the internet, because there's a lot of freaking incel influencers who take up a lot of oxygen.
And Tucker was one of those originally. You know, we know Walz led the Gay Straight Alliance in the 2000s during the Bush admin, which I think is phenomenal. Tucker Carlson himself was in the Dan White Society. Dan White, he put that in his yearbook. Dan White was the guy who assassinated Harvey Milk.
Yep.
So, I mean, Dylan Roof-style Rhodesia sort of affinity there with Tucker Carlson and a guy who assassinated a gay politician.
Great point. All right, guys, we're going to open up the phone lines now. The number is 646-257-3920. Bobby Western
do you have the follow-up clip though of apparently the audience chanting "Daddy" at Trump when he came out or something like that? Yeah.
I do not. Perhaps Bradley can find that.
Because
I think that'll do numbers.
His political career has not taken off on X, and so he's getting he's branching out. He's diversifying into BDSM.
Nick from PA, while Undertaker is bitching about protecting his daughter with Trump, Vince and Linda McMahon, part of Trump's transition team, are mentioned as defendants in a lawsuit where kids were abused by WWE employees in the 1980s. Maybe the Undertaker should protect those kids? Right, exactly.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.